consultants here, so why don't we get this show on the road? It is plenty of time. Perfect. All right, so let's call to order Town of Brookfield Municipal Building Committee regular meeting. Tuesday, finally we have a regular meeting. Tuesday, April 20th at 7:03. And we'll start with the approval of the special meeting minutes from April 6th.
So moved.
I get a second?
I'll
Going once?
Josh,
All right,
unmute.
so we got a second from Josh.
I second.
And so any discussion on the meeting minutes? All right, hearing none. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay, motion carried. New school project, right on to the meat of it. We're out of the bid phase finally. We're out of the pre-construction phase. The Board of Selectmen had a special meeting for which the GMP was part of. So we are fully into that construction phase at this juncture. And with that, we'll let Tecton Architects take the lead with the first update, followed by Arcadis, and then O&G. So Jeff, Eddie?
Good evening. Not an awful lot to really say other than we are, continuing to process submittals and RFIs, and we're getting, finished samples, trying to chase through a few of those pieces and, responding to whatever's found at the site as the excavation is happening. And we're looking forward to the groundbreaking on May 1st. Tim, I don't know if there's anything in particular you want to call.
Yeah, it's
not too much from us, really.
all right. Tim, is there anything you wanted to add? I know there's a lot of stuff going on in the background, but not a lot, for owner
Right.
involvement at this juncture.
I think Eddie covered it pretty well. There's not much more additional to add.
Okay. Jeff?
I don't have much to add. I'm assuming that the
I'm just
last
frozen
meeting,
on my screen.
I'm frozen on. Can you hear me okay?
All right, so
I can hear
Yeah.
you.
Okay.
I can hear you.
yeah,
Oh, okay. Yeah, I don't have much more to add. I'm assuming at the last meeting, Tim Mayu was introduced. Eddie introduced him. He's been the project architect, basically team lead, putting the documents together, and he's going to be the full-time CA person. And he's been intimately involved in all the shop drawings and CA communication, and will continue to do so from start to finish on the project. So he and Gus and obviously Arcadis, Rob, have had daily conversations about the ongoing CA activities. So that's behind the scenes. Tim's been the busy one quite a bit, looking at all this stuff. So other than that, I don't have anything else to add.
so in short, you're saying blame Tim.
That's what I do. So that seems appropriate.
Okay. Just
I'm
wanted
used
to
to
be
it.
clear. All right, so hearing nothing else from Tecton, we'll move on to Arcadis. Jack, Rob?
Good evening. I'll let Rob give the blow-by-blow description since he's on site every day.
Yes, hi everybody, how are you? I will share my screen. I have a couple photos. So just a quick gist of what's been going on over the last 2 weeks since we met. Our construction trailers have been connected to power and data, so it's been nice to be able to work on our laptops and conduct some meetings. We have, let's see if I can get my screen going here. I will. So I got this drone photo from the Board of Ed IT department today. They've been taking weekly photos, so it is and it captures everything very nicely. So as you can see over here on the right, this was during our organics excavation. That work has been complete. It started on Wednesday the 7th, and the excavation was complete Wednesday, the 14th, and there was a day in there where there was no excavations going on. So it was about a 4-day operation. Gerber has been bringing in structural fill, and we're collecting all the data, compiling everything, compiling all the data to vet the cost of all that. So we're through with what we know, what we were expecting to see. Let me minimize this here. I have another photo. So in stormwater, Gerber's been continuing with their stormwater work. They've set JC2 and JC3, which is going to bring our streams, collecting our streams and having a nice feature in front of the school. So that work is being completed now. We should, what I've heard today is that Gerber should be done by the end of the week, having these streams diverted. And all right way. Also, all the stockpile topsoil has been moved up to the northeast part of the site. So our building area is now completely cleaned up and ready to go. And as soon as we're ready to start with footings, we'll have a clean slate. Here's another photo of the excavations of the organics. SLR was directing the work. So we'll have their field reports this week. Just another look. So yeah, we're looking forward to getting ready with foundations and footings and start moving upwards instead of going down. So that's what I have.
All right, great. Jack, you have anything to add?
I think that covers the high points. We are, excuse me, we are maintaining a log of the material that was excavated, both with elevations that Gerber is shooting with their machines. We've got ONG observing, Rob is there. And as he mentioned, SLR, the geotechnical engineers were guiding the excavation to make sure of two things. First, that all the organics were removed. And then in the areas where we were dealing with the existing fill, that there was no more than 2 feet of fill to be left. So they were doing little probes here and there to check the depth of the fill, and then perhaps over excavating some of the fill that was there in order to maintain that maximum 2-foot lift of existing material. From that, the new material, the structural fill, has been coming in, and foundations coming soon.
Great. All right. Does Arcadis have anything else on the new building construction?
I have
All
nothing more for
right, so we'll move on to Gus.
Well, before Gus, I'm going to say goodbye. Bye. Bye. It was nice
Ah.
meeting you all. Good luck. I'll see you at the ribbon cutting, or maybe at the groundbreaking if I get invited. If I get invited, I'll see you at the groundbreaking. Otherwise, I'll see you at the ribbon cutting.
Thanks, Laurel. Thank
Take
you,
care.
Laurel,
Laurel.
you're absolutely invited to the
groundbreaking.
You're absolutely invited to the groundbreaking. Please come.
Is there going to be punch and donuts? Punch and donuts?
What do you think this is? One of Gus's job meetings?
We'll have to defer to the BOE on that. Depends on if it's in their budget.
Okay. All right. Take care. Have a good meeting.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. Not much to add over the reports on site. You see the photo behind me. Again, the plateau is ready for the concrete foundation. So we're expecting our first delivery of reinforcement this week. Our anchor bolts are coming in on Thursday, also for the structural steel. So we'll have all those on site and be able to hopefully start our first concrete pour early next week. That's the plan. We had our meeting today with the special inspector and the engineer of record on site to work out all the testing and the quality control. Make sure everybody's on the same page with the amount of cylinders, the compression cylinders, and the compression stress, and the mixed designs for the concrete. So all that was documented, and we're ready for concrete. That's for what's happening on site. Behind the scene, like Eddie said, with the team, Brad from CES, everybody's working on a lot of coordination effort There's quite a bit of MEP coordination effort taking place for all the underground mechanicals that are going through the foundations, and then also all the above grade. And we're starting to work following the flow from area A to area F to area E. So we have a good flow set up on site, and there's definitely good dynamics and good team effort between the trade partners, and the owner design architect team. So things are going well. And that's pretty much it.
Great. Well, we thank you for all your on-site work. We know that the beginning of any project isn't easy. It's really where the rubber meets the road at this point. And, all in all, from, aside from the unsuitable fill issues, you guys have done a good job in getting the site organized, getting the temporary fencing up, making sure that the existing school is nice and it's clean, and we have a great site. So, we do appreciate that.
Yeah, I mean, the unsuitable was a hump, but I think everybody worked together, and we were able to overcome the situation. It got cleaned up pretty well. SLR was on site, and the clean fill was installed, well compacted. So I think we're over it now, and we're ready for the next step.
Right. And again, thank you for your work and your diligence. We know you and Rob, everybody have worked together on these issues.
Thank you.
And you can tell Laurel, see, we can be nice.
I will.
All right. Anything else from ONG?
Gus, I had a question, if you don't mind. Do you have a schedule for the production of the construction drawings, by the composite drawings by zone? The construction coordination drawings. And if you do, I'm sure you do, could you make sure that, I'm assuming you're going to give them to Rob to follow, and that Rob would follow that construction schedule or the production of the drawings, and just make sure that everything is going on time? The reason I say this is because sometimes you start to see that slip in the beginning of the project. It's an early indicator of trouble ahead.
Yeah, we have a schedule for the MEP coordination. You mean, Jack?
Exactly.
Yeah, we have that set up already, and then that's being followed. They meet every Wednesday. We have an MEP coordination meeting, and they review the BIM model. They go through all the clash detections. And I'll give Rob the schedule, and he can forward it on to you.
Okay, thank you.
Paul, since we had mentioned quite a bit and discussed last meeting about the unsuitable soil, can we elaborate on that a little bit more during this meeting? So we can let everyone know what the resolution was on that?
Well, we don't know much more. Yeah, we don't know much more than we knew last meeting, Colette. They, continue to excavate it. We're still waiting for a confirmation, and we had asked prior to this meeting, but it's not ready yet. Confirmation for amounts of unsuitables and any negotiations happening with the subcontractor. That information is just not available just yet. So we know that it was removed. We know that they used GPSs and quantification on 3 different levels, both the engineer, Arcadis, and Gus and Gerber. But we just don't have the total quantities as of yet. So I think it's a little preliminary just yet to start discussing the balance of what was going on. And it wasn't, I think we just talked about that 2 weeks ago. So
Yeah.
like Gus said, it's all been removed. We're just waiting for the final numbers at this juncture.
Okay, and last time we discussed the possibility of using the soil elsewhere within the town. Has that been explored?
It was
Yeah.
explored briefly. I know both, both Arcadis and not both Arcadis. I know that Jack Butkus from Arcadis and Rob reached out to DPW, and they received a response back that no, we can't use, that we have no place for it. I don't know if all the unsuitables have been, or all the unsuitable fill has been removed from the site, or some of it's stockpiled. Jack, could you fill us in a little bit on that, Butkus? Or Rob?
Yeah, so all the unsuitables has been removed from the site. The only stockpile area is the topsoil. We're expecting to have
Okay.
a little bit more unsuitable soils, not organic related. It could be reused elsewhere on site or at another facility if needed. But it's not right now. The way our plans are, we don't have anywhere to use it currently. But if some elevations change or we can find a spot to put it, we can surely use it.
But also you're not ready to excavate those areas that would
Yeah,
yield.
we did
No.
ask the question of the town. Right, we did ask the question of the town, and we just didn't get any suitable responses back. And, in especially this phase of construction, timing is critical, so the contractor removed it off the site.
Okay. Fair enough. Thank you.
You're welcome. All right, any other questions of Tecton, Arcadis, or O&G for the new school project? All right, hearing none, we'll move on to the high school locker room. Eddie, you're up. Could you give us an update?
Absolutely. Good evening again. So we are plugging right along with construction documents. We are shooting for having them done essentially about 2 weeks from today. So bidding to take place throughout the rest of the month of May. And so mobilization and award hopefully in June so we can start work when school gets out. We've picked up a few user requests along the way, basically expanding the storage capabilities, kind of reconfiguring the shower room to get in another storage area, and then to try and take advantage of the loft spaces that are in the weight room. Also created a laundry room, and we're also, I think that's those are the main ones really. The Tecton team was out on site last Monday, doing a full existing conditions analysis. So we've made some minor tweaks just to deal with the things that we saw there, make sure we have all of our I's dotted and T's crossed. We are meeting tomorrow morning with some of the faculty, with the superintendent, the athletic director, to confirm that the scope is still on board and meeting their needs. Talk a little bit about some of the options for how we complete the work, whether it all is going to try and be done this summer, some next summer, or kind of an extended duration between the two. We're going to try and get some alternate pricing to see how the contractors feel the work can be addressed. And I think that's about the size of it.
Yeah, I think Eddie, what we had talked about with Dr. Brill, Principal Belanda, the Board of Education's subcommittee, and Steve Baldwin, was looking at this 3 different ways, right? Doing all the work at once, and how long would it take to, or what type of overtime would it take to do it all within the summer? Option 2 was doing it all at once, but during regular time. And would that extend into the school year? And, how disruptive that would be. Obviously, we do work in occupied schools all the time, but, as far as Principal Belanda and Steve Baldwin running program there, what would be the programmatic impacts? And option number 3 was do it over the course of 2 summers and see, what the financial impact would be to the budget. And I think that's kind of what you guys will be discussing tomorrow at your meeting.
Yep. Thank you for on that.
Eddie, do you have drawings of all of the tweaks that you've made to it, or are they all preliminary at this point?
Yeah, I do. Some of this stuff is still, kind of a work in progress at the moment, but I can, let me see. Bear with me just a second.
Well, can we vet those? I promised Steve Baldwin that we would vet those with him before any type of distribution.
That's fine.
being that he's really the end user. And I think, I just want to make sure that we don't upset Steve or the school
Sure.
before Joy and Steve get a chance to kind of give their final blessing to this.
Yep,
Fair
that's
enough,
fine. But as I said, it's fairly minor. The scope of work really looks the same as what you saw. It's kind of a couple of things that not everybody remembers everything they want right at the beginning. So a couple of additional things on the wish list.
Okay, thanks.
Mm-hmm. Okay, thank you.
All right, any other questions on the high school locker room that anybody has of Tecton? Okay, so number 5, communications. Catherine, we received one communication, correct? Or actually,
Yes.
we received 2 communications, one being the GMP from ONG that was forwarded to the Board of Selectmen for execution after their special meeting. And the second one that you saw in the mailbox today was?
So it was a
Fill in the
letter
blank.
from, it was
I
a
don't have it in
letter
front of me.
from David Keene and Elizabeth Fleming about stormwater management concerns in response to Tecton's letter. That was dated March 8th to them.
All right, so it was a follow-up.
Yeah.
Do me a favor, could you forward that to Tecton so they can review it for a reply?
Sure.
Great, thank you. Did we have any other communications, Catherine? I think that was it, correct?
No, that's it.
Okay. All right, so on to invoices.
Good evening. Is my screen visible?
I can
Yes.
see it.
Yes.
Okay. All right. Believe it or not, only one bill to pay today. As far as a typical bill, this is requisition for payment number 1 from ONG in the paltry sum of $405,012.89. The requisition has been reviewed in pencil form, adjusted, reviewed again in final form, distributed to Paul and Josh to add their comments as well. And unless I'm in error, I believe any questions have been resolved. Is that correct, Paul? That you're comfortable with it as presented?
Yeah, I think this went out in everybody's packet on Friday, correct?
Yes.
For any other comments? Okay.
Do any of the
This
committee
is for
members?
the period through, I'm just checking out my screen.
Period ending March 31st.
Yeah, let me get
Right,
my
so this
keys
is
out.
for the period through 3/31, ending the end of March.
Does the committee have any comments?
I had one question. I was a little bit unclear because I think early in the project, there was some discussion. I think, Paul, you brought it up that in some ways, the way these costs are handled in Connecticut are different than they are in New York. And I wasn't clear what the final solution is that. Could you just update me? I know in Connecticut, the way that we call it the schedule of values, and the way it's done is the subcontractor submits his claimed percentage of completion. And then typically it was reviewed by the construction manager, who then passed it on to the owner's project manager. And I think the owner's project manager typically approved the payments. Is that how it's going to work here, or is it a little bit different? I mean, in other words,
No, I think, Jack, you're absolutely. I think you're absolutely correct here, Jack. The backup to this document that was sent out on Friday not only has ONG's application for payment to us, but Gerber's application and schedule of values is included in all the backup as well. This went through, I guess, O&G first, then it went to Rob and Jack Butkus from Arcadis. They commented on it. They had their discussions with O&G. They sent it to us on Friday. You know, seeing that we didn't have any comments, they included it in the packet. But even at this juncture, if we have comments or we have reservations, we have the final kind of say, this is how we did it at the high school project. It becomes real kind of difficult to either, and I guess we can do it two ways. Do we want to review pencil recs at our third meeting every month, or do we want to review final recs? Rob, do you remember how we did it at the high school? Did we review pencil recs or finals?
Actually, I think we did review pencil recs. It was painful.
Yeah, Rob is correct. We did review pencil recs there, and we're able to go through it, especially as we got further down the line. The only nicety about that was the situation we were in there, which we will not be in here, right, everybody? Gave us one last review.
And given the fact that
Right.
you have us, Arcadis, on the project to do a lot of that vetting for you, hopefully.
That's
they'll-
exactly what I was going to say. We have an OPM now.
Yeah. And that's critical because a lot of these, they'll claim a certain percentage of the piping is installed. And I mean, really, the only person who's going to be able to verify that is somebody on the site. And so we rely on Arcadis to be our eyes and ears as far as whether or not that's a valid requisition. I mean, there's no way we can tell that from our house.
Yeah, and then the only place we're going to get into, no, but the only place we'll ever really get into a situation is if we, not so much as far as quantity, but I would say, and this is what happened at the high school, and Rob and Josh will remember fondly, when we get into unacceptable work of what the owner deems unacceptable.
Right.
And sometimes you have discrepancies with the design team, which is what exactly happened at the high school. So I guess that's the question. Do we want to review pencils or finals? I'm perfectly happy, letting Arcadis do the pencil requisitions, but we do have final say on the final application for payment.
Yeah, that makes sense to me.
Yeah, I'm okay with that too. And I would assume Arcadis would, kind of pass along their markups of the pencil prior anyways. So we could always, take a gander if we wanted, but at the actual meeting, it could only see.
Josh, you make a good point. I think if Arcadis did send on their markups on the pencil rec, we can at least be assured that we know that they're doing due diligence. I think that would be helpful for peace of mind.
Paul, can I?
Right, and we'll just.
Can I jump in here too? We're also expected to review the pencil rec and comment on it as well, and our engineers if there's, for instance, if there's site work
right
on this application for payment, our civil engineer is going to look at it. So, and the other only comment that I'll add and I'll stop is the one that we're looking at here isn't executed. So this is the final, correct, Jack?
Yes, this is what was passed on to me to distribute.
Okay.
But ordinarily, as a matter of course, the architect's signature would be here on each of the certificates. Or let me correct myself. It's on the O&G covering requisition, not the individual subcontract requisitions.
Right, and that's correct, right? You don't need me to sign each of the subs,
right? So
okay.
once all of the individual components are vetted, the O&G covering document is signed both by O&G, by Eddie on behalf of Tecton and Rob Tenza here. So you've got assurance that all parties have seen this before it's sent to you to execute.
So to make this a little bit more streamlined and easier, assuming that it would be once both Tecton and, well, ONG, Tecton and Arcadis review everything, and it's sent to Tecton for signature, if we were, which would be the same document distributed to the NBC anyways, if that document were to be distributed at the same time, that gives us the benefit of the day or two, a couple days, just in case there was something absolutely glaring, which I doubt there would be, but just in case, and that gives us a little bit of benefit of time and then saves the hassle of doing these twice over every other month.
Right, and our target is to compile everything for the agenda packet by Thursday so that we can get it to Catherine on Friday. This particular meeting, we got it late. We got it to her later in the day on Friday, which we'll try not to do again. We'll try to get it earlier in the day so that you'll have some of the business day available to, if you want to print copies off for yourself or whatever, before spending your weekend reviewing things.
2 points to make. One.
Well, Jack, let me ask something. So you received the pencil rec when? So this is the period to 3/31. When did you receive the pencil rec?
Rob, can you go through
So
the?
yeah, so the way the workflow is set up, and Gus, correct me if I'm wrong, but by the end of the third week of the month, Gus is going to have his pencil rec ready for review. Tecton and Arcadis would have a week to review. It would be sent to you, Paul, and Josh, and the rest of the committee to see our comments, and you can add comments, and probably up to a week to do that, and then send it back to Gus so he has a week to work with the subs to finalize it before our NBC meeting.
All right, and the reason I'm asking is because I would like us to have more than 3 days to review a final rec, especially when we get into the meat of construction and we're looking at, payments in the millions of dollars, and we're looking at payments to 15 subs. I don't think 3 days is going to be enough time. I really think that we need that document at least a week in advance, 5 business days in advance, in order to do diligence on the owner's part. And I think we still have plenty of time to do that. If you're receiving a pencil rec on the 20th of the month that extends through the 30th or 31st of that month, that those subsequent weeks for review, we shouldn't have an issue getting it by the second Tuesday of the month. If our meeting's the third Tuesday as regularly scheduled.
I think that's reasonable. Agreed. Does the committee envision going to 2 meetings a month when we're in the heat of the moment of the heavy construction? Or will we be holding to 1 meeting a month?
That's to be determined. We have done it in the past, but we did that generally when we had to do summer schedule in an occupied school, which was a lot heavier than sort of, and a new school site. So we don't know that. And we're still trying to figure out when we can get back to in-person meetings. Doing these meetings over Zoom is difficult.
If I could make 2 points. One of them is, first of all, we're dealing with new construction as opposed to as-built as we were at the high school at that time. And secondly, the reason why we employed and contracted with Arcadis was so that we wouldn't have to go through all these painful as-builts.
What do you mean by as-builts, Rob?
I was referring to the high school with the as-built as opposed to you doing the pencil review.
Yeah, understood. I'm still a little gun shy after the high school, Rob. I don't know about you.
No, I
Maybe
totally
as we
agree
get
with
a
you.
level of comfort.
We're putting a
things will
tremendous
change.
amount of trust in Jack, but that's why we contracted with them in the first place, so that they would go through all of this meticulously and present it to us. And I totally agree with you. We should have this information at least 5 business days in advance so that we can review it and go back and present our questions and concerns to Jack to say, work these out before our regular meeting.
Yeah,
Yeah, I mean, ultimately, the final say-so on whether or not work is acceptable falls on the owner.
Hey, Paul, I think it was last month you mentioned that you might have like a monthly walkthrough for the members of the building committee on site. You know, it might be helpful if those were scheduled after we received the requisition for review, so that we could, with our own eyes, confirm some of the things that are mentioned on it. Because I still, that's not my dog. I'm still, I mean, frankly, I know from experience, it's very hard to verify anything, you know, from the office. You got to actually be there and see it with your own eyes. And the two things might
Yeah,
dovetail.
I think.
Go ahead.
No, I agree, Jack. And I think the intent of the monthly walkthrough was once we get back to in-person meetings and everybody's vaccinated, that just prior to so if we get the rec 5 days in advance,
right?
Say we have a 7 p.m. NBC meeting, well, at 5:30 or 6 o'clock, we do our walkthrough. Then we go to town hall, we convene our meeting. So we can at least see things in real time. And I think that is quite helpful. You're right.
Yeah, that
I
sounds
just
good
don't
to me.
know, you know, and look, this month and next month, it's going to be dirt and concrete. There's not a lot to walk around the site with.
Right.
But after that, I'm hopeful that we can get back by the June meeting, that we can do that site visit and have in-person meetings at that point. Because I think that's going to be critical to this project.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, so before we bring out another mayor to the slaughterhouse there, I agree with that sentiment of the fact that our walkthroughs are just kind of more right before the meeting, our own, you know, experience, take a look and whatnot, not necessarily to review work, so to speak, for the pencil rec, because that's where we have ONG, Tecton, and Arcadis doing that job. So again, to get to the point, if we're copied once, if we're copied on ONG and ONG, Arcadis's and Tecton's comments, at that point in time, we should still have a good week, let's call it 5 business days, to review ourselves. And if there's something glaring, there's something glaring that we can still address before the actual meeting. In terms of dual meetings, Jack, to go back to your question, you know, we have the ability to always call special meetings if need be, or if there's something super pressing. But ideally, with, you know, all the duplicity we have, we should be able to kind of, I would hope, manage this pretty tightly. That's just my personal opinion.
Okay, well, I guess, Josh, I don't know what type of meat you eat, but I've never led a mare to a slaughterhouse.
Never need that beat. Bring out another mare. Bring another mare out.
Yeah,
I thought he said
Beat
mayor.
another mare. I could have gone with Club and Seals, but you know, I was trying to be somewhat.
I don't know. I thought he was talking about like Bill de Blasio. I thought he said mayor.
Oh, bring another mayor out. I got you. All right, so I think for at least for now, we have a direction forward that we're going to see pencil recs after they've been reviewed, but before they become a final, so we can see everybody's markups. We're going to receive a final rec 5 business days or the Tuesday prior to our meeting. And hopefully in June, we'll start the on-site walkthroughs just prior to our NBC meeting. So with that kind of being settled, let's, we have this application for payment in front of us. I would entertain a motion.
Well, I'll make a motion to approve as submitted. I can't see any amounts because I'm on the telephone.
$405,012.89.
I'll second that motion.
All right, any discussion on this application for payment? Hearing none. All those in favor for approving the application for payment number 1 in the amount of $405,012.89.
Aye.
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 Aye. All those opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you.
All right, Jack, anything else on invoices?
Yes, well, we have 2 purchase order requests. These are single payment transactions to purchase cameras that are providing our webcam on site, courtesy of the efforts of the school's IT personnel. We have a purchase order for cameras for $2,569.50 and a direct purchase for the cost of the lift of $324.69. This was approved in concept by Paul in order for IT to move forward in this direction, and this do-it-yourself approach with the district IT folk as the infrastructure for this was at a measurable savings off of what Multivista would have done it as a subcontractor. So we're asking for the approval of these two purchase orders. Total value $2,894.19.
All right, so you get a motion on the purchase order request for the school's IT department.
So moved.
Get a second?
Seconded.
Any discussion on this item? As Jack alluded to, this was considerably less expensive route to have the same equipment, and it actually is going to be our equipment. I think Eric said he's going to put it on the top of the new school once we're done, as a weather station and reporting, as a camera up there. So it's a great long-term benefit we're getting for quite a substantial savings.
I have just one question. Who's responsible for the security and the maintenance of said camera?
That falls on Mr. Conklin. It's mounted on top of the school roof, so I don't know that security is an issue. But he has played with various locations too, where to place it and getting IT to it. So he's been quite hands-on, and he's been really, really good with wanting to do this and really taking a lead role here. We have to
I'm
give
fully supportive of it. I just want to make sure that we understand whose responsibility that camera is.
No, it's fully the district's, or I would say our, as the owner, it's fully our responsibility.
Well, because we've got 2 different entities. We've got the Municipal Building Committee, which is an agency of the town, and we've got the Board of Education, which is an agency of the state.
We're supplementing this as part of the project cost because Multivista would have been part of the project cost.
The equipment used is also going to be used as part of our IT infrastructure that we're pre-buying it instead of buying it under FF&E. So the equipment used is equipment that we would have purchased anyways. We had Eric look at it ahead of time after reviewing the Multivista stuff. That way we could save a significant amount and kind of get the same end result. So he kind of took this on his own accord, or extra work for him, but to give us the same result for equipment we were going to buy anyways, but now we get to use it 2 years in advance.
Sounds like a win to me.
Yeah, it's been a great collaborative effort between the NBC and the BOE with items such as this, and we hope that continues.
I just want to send my thanks to Eric Conklin and the entire IT department for their initiative on this and their forward thinking.
Yeah.
Because we are getting, a substantial savings on this going forward.
And he's the one taking those drone shots too.
Yes.
And they're just wonderful progress. They're wonderful keepsakes. It's really great. Okay, so any other discussion on this purchase order? Hearing none. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Anybody opposed? Okay, so moved. Next purchase order. Go ahead, Jack.
We have purchase order increase to Tecton. This is a additional service of $20,000 for their consultant, Malone and McBroom, regarding the design of off-site roadway improvements. $20,000 increase to their existing contract value. That's a direct pay to Malone with no markup from Tecton.
Okay, anybody, motion?
Make
I
a
know
motion
we,
that- Okay. Go ahead, Josh.
I know we batted this around and we've seen some different numbers on it. Because I believe if I remember correctly, Malone McBroom came in substantially higher than that prior. And then there was a question seeing how from all of our presentations and always we're creating a right turning lane, we're creating a right turning lane, we're creating a right turning lane. And all of a sudden, I believe this invoice is solely due to that, that it wasn't part of the project. So I don't know. I don't know where everything stands in terms of was it part or wasn't it? I think we always thought it was. And then with that I know we saw the initial invoices, which was much higher, as I said, but then I don't know where this number came from in terms of any kind of time or factor. I know they did do the work, but I question where does it fit in the grand scheme of the overall project? What was presented at all of our meetings, this goes back 2 years, probably a year and a half. And when was this always part of it? From our town meetings, it seemed it was, but I know Malone McBroom differ with that opinion.
All right, so before we have any discussion on this, we can have a motion to approve, we can have a motion to reject, or we can have a motion to table it, and then having a second, then we can enter into discussion.
So I would motion to table it myself, only because I think there's more discussion needed.
All right, so we have a motion to table.
Yeah,
We get a
second that
second?
motion.
All right, so it's been motion made and seconded. Now we can open this up for a little bit of discussion for owner due diligence.
Now, question, a right turn lane or a left turn lane?
Both. Well, I think there was a left turn lane coming in and a right turn lane going out. It had to do with some road widening. And I know Josh is right. We had some discussion about this. I know Malone had sent a proposal. I know we had asked Tecton about it. And I think that was just before COVID hit last March. And I think, it kind of got pushed to the side. So I don't recall where it kind of ended up, but I think that's what everybody's feeling right now. We just don't know where this ended up.
I can put clarity to this if you'd like me to.
Sure.
Please, yeah.
So, so the design of the off-site roadway improvements were not included in the contract. I know we had discussions whether they were shown or not shown on preliminary drawings, site plans, but Tecton produced those. SLR didn't, or Mullen McBroom, whatever you want to call them. Months ago, when we realized this, that work was not included in the contract, we asked them for a proposal. They prepared a proposal. That proposal, I don't have it in front of me. I could get it, but my recollection that it came back at $29,500, somewhere thereabouts, around $30,000.
$27,500.
Yeah, and we had discussions then that the scope of work shouldn't be that large. So there was a direction, basically, or discussion about a $20,000 cap with a not to exceed $20,000 cap. So my understanding of what this ask is for tonight is not the invoice. It's a purchase order to increase it. Now, if that's the case, my expectation is the invoice that will be provided against this $20,000 will give you the backup that you're asking for as far as how much time they spent and where they spent their time.
We can vet that and do that in a single meeting as well. If we have that backup, Jeff, I think that would be go a long way. I think, from the owner standpoint, we need to do two things. It's not about SLR's contract or Malone's contract with Tecton. I think we just need to review Tecton's contract with the town and some of those documents. And if everything proves out, then we can do the purchase order request and an invoice approval at a single meeting. It's just sequential at that point. If
Okay.
that works for you.
Absolutely. I'll get you the chapter and verse from the contract and then their original proposal and where it was worked down. And then if we do in fact have the invoice, I'll ask for backup so you have it all in one package.
Okay, yeah, I think that would be helpful for everybody.
That'd be very
to kind of
helpful, yeah.
Understand it.
All right, with that item tabled, that concludes our financial transactions for this evening.
Hold on.
Oh, wait, no.
We
You have
made
to
a
vote.
motion to table. It's been seconded. We had discussion. All those in favor of tabling this?
Aye.
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 Anybody opposed? All right, so it'll be tabled to the next meeting.
All
Now you
right.
can talk, Jack.
Now we can conclude the financial aspects of the project.
Okay, so we have any other invoices?
No, that concludes invoices for tonight.
So no other invoices. We'll move on to public comment. Do we have any public comment? Come on, Rosa, say something. She's still with us?
Not on the line anymore.
All right, no public comment. So our next regularly scheduled meeting is May 18th. If things change dramatically with our current pandemic situation and seeing, what work will be going on out there, Gus, maybe about a week before our next meeting, we can have a little short discussion to see if it'd be appropriate either to walk, not across the site, obviously, for obvious reasons, but maybe do a perimeter walk on the inside of the construction fence so we can kind of get a sense of the concrete work going on. If any of the Fox block forms are going up, people may be interested to see that. But, I think we'd take a wait and see approach just of yet.
Sounds good.
Okay.
Perfect.
One item that we did not put onto tonight's agenda, but we had talked about at the special meeting was, the prospect of using Multivista for other than webcam stuff. Has the committee been looking at those proposals since then, or should I distribute it again?
No, I have some thoughts I'd like to kind of share with everybody on that. I'm struggling personally to, cost versus benefit.
Mhm.
Um,
Have the conversations with Board of Ed facilities taken place? Have we gotten any
Yeah, I
feedback?
mean, we've with cost versus benefit, and it seems like you have to buy a lot to get to the point that of the things that may be useful, like the, before they put up the drywall, the
As built of all
post-mechanical-
the mechanical, yeah.
Yeah, the post-mechanical photographs, which probably would be the most useful. But, we don't have anything running in the outside walls. It's concrete form. Corridor walls are going to be electric. So most everything's going to be above ceiling. And we have stacked toilet rooms for plumbing risers. Would I like photographs of only post-mechanical pre-drywall? I think that may be useful in the future, but I don't want to see us pay $30,000 just to get to that point and add that on. So that's where I'm struggling a little bit, Jack, with this. And I was actually going to write to you to see if we could kind of prescribe what we're looking for, and ask Multivista maybe to price that out, if that would be okay.
I'm sure they would give it consideration. Sure. Let me know, the a la carte choices that you feel you get most benefit from, and I'll put the request in.
All right. Can everybody kind of go through Multivista's proposal and kind of circle what you think, regardless of everything else that comes before it? Take a look at all those a la carte choices and see if we can get some concurrence on what we think would be the most useful for us in the future. Again, it's not an existing building, Rob, like we had at the high school. It's a new building. As-built will go a long way. Some photo documentation would be useful. I just don't see $40,000 or $50,000 worth of documentation being entirely necessary.
No, I totally agree with you, Paul, on that. And I'm also wondering if that's something that the Board of Education would like to discuss with their building management to say, you guys need to get in there and do your due diligence and do some documentation before, you know, we spend $30,000 on that.
Yeah, I've had preliminary conversations with Dan on some of the documentation when we had the first multi-vista proposal. And a lot of it was, you know, it would be nice to have, not entirely necessary. And that's where that question of, do we have to use their platform, or we sent the question back to Arcadis about the use of that information later on, not being on the multi-vista platform, and it was self-contained. But again, progress photos all along the way. I'm really kind of struggling with it, but we'll vet it by Dan as well.
Yeah, no, it's definitely a nicety, but I don't know
Yeah.
that we need to spend money on a nicety.
No, I agree, you know, and that's the nice thing about our MBC here is we think of all the dollars as our own. So I think everybody's pretty frugal here.
All right, then I will let Multivista know that there's a, you know, a potential a la carte opportunity for them, but otherwise we'll wait until we get that list from you.
Okay, thank you. All right, any other business? All right, hearing none, we'll adjourn the meeting.
One last question. What time is the groundbreaking? I know it's May 1st.
8:30 a.m.
30.
8:30, isn't it?
So show up at 9, Rob.
I'm just double checking my calendar. Yeah, that's what it says here. We did get a calendar invite, right?
Yes, we did. I have it someplace. I just wanted to throw it out there for everyone.
Okay, hopefully they'll send out a reminder, because we all know how our days go right now. Jack Ludwig will attest, they all kind of blend into one another, don't they, Jack?
I'm sorry, what?
I said, you'll attest all these days kind of blend into one another.
Oh, yeah, yeah, once you're retired.
7
Well,
Saturdays and a Sunday?
Yeah, that's
Six
it.
Saturdays and a Sunday.
That's why I missed the previous meeting. I suddenly realized it was Wednesday and the meeting was on Tuesday, so I apologize for that.
No apologies necessary. All right, well, with that, any other comments? Once, twice? All right, meeting's adjourned. Thank you, everybody.
Good night,
everyone.
everyone.
Bye.
Good evening.